Hi guys, it's Lynn with Curiosity Crochet. I am bringing you another hat. What's new, right? It's another sheet hat. Now I know this looks really short, and it is, but we're going to do something a little different today. So let's start here. I did only bring this to about 6.5 inches, and you do want to do about that 6.5, 7 inches. You don't want to go too much taller than that. So when you're making your chains to work, and then this is another one, it's another sheet hat where we're going to work back and forth this way until we get our diameter. Now I'm going to go over this real quick now so that it's, if you want to, you can write this down. So 6.5 to 7 inches tall for this part when you're making your chains, and I'll give you the multiples in a little bit here. And then I brought this one to 18 inches for the diameter of the head. And like I always say, you can use any yarn, you can use any weight, any color, whatever you want to use. Just make sure you get the right diameter, the right inches for the diameter and the right inches for the height. So average is 18 to 20, larger heads 20 to 22. For a little bit of a smaller head, 16 to 17 inches. You'd have to look up dimensions for children's heads because I'm not real sure on those. But it just depends on the actual project sometimes. But because my last sheet one I only brought to 16, but it was a different stitch, and this one came all the way to 18. And sometimes an easy way to do it is just wrap it around your own head and see how it is, if it touches in the front by your forehead or just around your ears, basically. So I'm going to show you the stitch. I'm going to tell you the multiples and everything. I just want to show you, I used my landscapes again. This one is Galaxy. Now, I did a video this morning, which if you're watching it whenever, it was just that I did another video today, and I showed you some yarn that I had gotten, and this one was in there, and I showed you the different colors. So I don't know yet how to put videos, you know, like sometimes you see where they have them, they'll pop up on top of this video. I don't know how to do that yet. Someday I'll figure it out. But if you want to look back through my videos, I do have one showing you guys different colors of this and some other good deals that I had gotten if you want to check that out. But this has 147 yards in it. It is a size 4, but it's roving, so it's like 4 or 5. It changes throughout. And this one skein is plenty for this hat. I still have a bunch left over because we're not making it as tall. And then we're gonna bring in another color and we're gonna add a brim to this. It's gonna be great. You guys are gonna love this. So, and then hook wise, I used a 6 with that, and it recommends a 6.5, I think. Yeah, it recommends a 6.5 if it would focus. And I used a 6. So whatever yarn you use, just use one size down, just so that we keep it nice and tight. And I don't know if you can see it on there, but this pops up a little bit. There's nice texture to this one. So it is different than the last few. And it does have, I wish this camera would show it better, but it pops up a little bit. You'll see once you start working on it what I mean. But then you need your hook. You make sure you have tape measure so you can get those measurements right. You want your scissors and your tapestry needle. Always need your tapestry needle, especially when you're making hats. We always need it anyways to sew in your ends, but okay, go gather all your stuff. I'll get myself situated. I'm just going to use some yarn that I've got laying around and a hook, and I'm going to show you the stitch, and we'll go from there. Okay, once you got all your supplies put together, I'm going to show you this stitch. And then you're just going to work it back and forth until you get the measurements of whatever diameter you're working towards. So like if you're using the same yarn as me, you can bring it to 18 inches. You just have to, kind of use, like I said, it depends on who you're making it for though too. So a lot of it is just making sure that it's going to fit around their head. So good rule of thumb is to measure whoever you're making it for. If you're just making it to make a hat, just do it to 18 inches. That'll do just fine. Especially if you're just going to put it in your donation pile like I do. It'll fit somebody. So, you know, usually if you're making it for a specific person, a good rule of thumb is to make sure you measure their head. And you always want to make it a little tighter than what their head is, because like I always say, it's going to stretch out, and the more they wear it, the more it's going to stretch out. So you want to start it a little tight. So say you measure their head and it measures at 20 inches. I would make it at like 18, 19 inches so that it starts a little snug and there's room for it to stretch out for them and be nice and comfortable. So with all that being said, we're going to start with a slip knot on our hook. Now, you want to do a multiple of 3 plus 2. So what that means is you want to do 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 and make as many chains as you need to get to the height that you want it to be. So like I said, you don't really want to take it more than 7 inches tall. So you'll make 3 plus 3 plus 3, any multiple of 3s. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, up to that height of 6.5 to 7 inches. And then you're going to add 2 on the end of that. So I'll show you, I'm going to do a real small scale of what you guys are going to do, and I'll show you what I mean. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm sorry, my washing machine is going crazy because I think it's off balance, and it scared me for a minute because it's down in the basement, and where I'm sitting, the door to the basement is right here, and I was like, what is that noise? And then it hit me. It's off balance because I'm washing sheets, and you know how that goes. So we're at 12. It's a multiple of 3. Now, when you get that multiple of 3, you're going to just add 2 more to that. So you 1, 2. So now we have what we need to do this. And we're going to start, we're going to skip this very first chain. Don't worry about this one that's on your hook. Your first chain is right here. And you're going to go into the second one, and you're going to insert and do a single crochet. And then in the same stitch, we're going to yarn over, and we're going to do a double crochet. And then we're going to go back into that same stitch again, and we're going to do another single crochet. Okay? Then we're going to skip 2, 1, 2, and we're going to do that again. We're going to go in and do a single crochet. We're going to yarn over. We're going to do a double crochet. We're going to go into the same stitch again and do another single crochet. We're going to skip 2, 1, 2. We're going to do this again. Single crochet, yarn over, same stitch, same chain, double crochet, same stitch, single crochet. Skip 2, single crochet, yarn over, double crochet, single crochet. And then when you come to the end of your row, you're going to skip 2, and you're just going to put 1 single crochet in there. So essentially you have a little funny shell, but it creates this little popped out, and it's real cute. So now we're going to chain 1, and we're going to turn. Now right here in this first stitch, we're going to put a single crochet, we're going to put a double crochet, we're going to put a single crochet, and we're going to skip 2. 1, 2. We're going to put a single crochet, a double crochet, and a single crochet. We're going to skip 2, put a single crochet, a double crochet, a single crochet. We're going to skip 2, single crochet, double crochet, single crochet. And when you come to the end, you'll have 3 stitches left. You're going to skip 2, and you're going to put a single crochet in that last stitch. And look at that, with the popping out. Ooh wee, is that pretty. And it sits kind of opposite, so, and it is reversible. So if we do this right, the hat will be reversible. So we're just going to keep repeating that. Then you're going to chain 1, you're going to turn, you're going to start right here in this first stitch, and you're going to do a single, you're going to do a double, and you're going to do a single, all in that same stitch. And then you're just going to skip 2, do the same thing, single, double, single, skip 2, single, double, single, all in the same stitch. Skip 2, single, double, single, skip 2, and put your last single crochet in your last stitch. And you'll get these little bobbles, and it's kind of cute. I really like it. Now, I'm going to show you an alternate, okay? Just because there's 2 ways to do this. So, that's one way. If you want to make it that way, go ahead and start your hat and then meet me back. I'm going to actually look at my notes real quick because I have an alternate way to do this, and I want to make sure that I have it right. And I'm going to show you, and then you can pick which one you want to do it as. So I'll meet you right back. Okay, I checked my notes, and there's just a slight variation, but it makes it look just a little bit different. And I made 2 of these hats. The one that I just showed you, I didn't bring that one out to the table with me, but the one that I'm making with you is this alternate one, because it still pops out. It just doesn't pop out as much. So, like I said, it's personal preference sometimes with these things. So I wanted to show you both versions. So that was one. Now you're still going to do the same thing. It's still going to be a multiple of 3 plus 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then we're going to add 2. Now, just like before, we're going to skip this first stitch, and in the second, though, we're just going to do 1 single crochet. So now this version, you're going to start and end with a single crochet in each row, instead of it being kind of alternating like on the other one, where you just end with 1 single crochet and then the shell kind of seems to sit cockeyed from each other. This one is going to sit right on top of each other. So we're going to do 1 single, we're going to skip 2, and we're going to do like we did on the other one. We're going to single, we're going to double, and we're going to single, and all in the same stitch. And then you're going to skip 2 and repeat that. Single, double, and then single, and then skip 2, and we're going to do the single, the double, and the single, and then we're going to skip 2 and put that last single crochet. Now you're still going to chain 1 and turn. You're going to put 1 single in this first stitch here, and then you're going to jump right over to the middle stitch. You're going to jump right into the middle here. So essentially right when you're starting, you're only skipping one, but it'll work out just fine. I promise, because I've got mine made. So you're going to do that single, double, single, and now you're going to skip 2 and you'll be in the middle. And you're going to single, you're going to double, you're going to single, and these will all work out right on top of each other. Skip 2, single, double, single, and then you'll have one to skip at this end too, and just put your single, and now they'll be on top of each other. And then you just repeat that. You chain 1, put your single here, and then jump right to that middle. So you'll skip 1 in the beginning and go right to the middle stitch from the previous row and do your single, double, single, and then you'll have 2 to skip, and you'll be in that middle stitch from the previous row. So into the double crochet. And then skip 2. And do your little crazy shell. Skip your 1 and put your last single crochet. And see, it still works out fine. You're just not skipping 2 like you did in the beginning to fit that in there. So it goes in the beginning, you skip 1 and work in the middle. At the end, you skip 1 and put your last single. I hope that's making sense. So those are the 2 versions. And it pops out on this one too, just not as much as on that other version. You still get that texture and that little bit of a bubble effect on it. I hope you guys can see that. But once you start working it, you'll see. And you'll see the difference between the 2 too. So pick which one you want to do. Work it back and forth until you get to whatever measurement of diameter you need it to be. We'll meet back and we will take the next couple steps together. Okay, once you've got your big piece made, well, your little piece really, because we're going to add on to it, we are going to put the edges together. So, and now my dogs are going to start growling. Wow, I'm having great luck today. Okay, so you're going to make sure that your working end is up here on your right. And you're going to still have that chain 1 before you turned. And then we are going to insert in this first stitch on this side. And then we are going to find the first chain on this side. And we are going to insert and we're going to pull a loop through and we're going to slip stitch. And this is what we're going to do all the way down. Now, you've got stitches all the way along this side. When you come to the chains that we skipped on the other side, just go through the big space. And you could do it twice because we skipped 2 chains. So just go through there twice and do your slip stitch. And then find your next stitch, which is stretched out because we put all those stitches in it. So everything on that side is going to be kind of stretched out. So don't worry about it. Just go ahead and go in there and slip stitch it. And it'll still pull it together. It's not going to make a bit of difference. It'll work out, I promise. So go ahead and do that all the way down until you get to the other end, and we will go to the next step. Okay, when you make it all the way down the side here, it should have matched up just nicely if you did the 2 in each chain 2 space down there and through each one of the chains that we worked into. Now what we're going to do is we are going to chain 1 and we're going to pull a nice long strand of this yarn so that we can cinch the top up. Now when we cinch this top up, since we've made it kind of short, it's going to look a little silly, but it is going to be so cute when we finish. So go ahead and leave yourself a nice long strand to work with. Ooh, and I have a little bit left that I can use for samples when I work on here for you guys, and I love that because I love this yarn. So what we're gonna do is we're going to thread up our tapestry needle, and we are gonna go around every stitch in each row. So we're gonna go in one side, come around that stitch, and come out the other side and pull it through. Then jump to the next and go around that one. Make sure you don't go in where you came out. So like you came out of this one here. So don't go back in there. You want to jump to the next and go around that stitch. And then just follow that all the way around till you get back to where you started. So go ahead and get that done. And we will meet back. And we're going to keep going here because we've got a whole nother step coming. You guys are going to be excited. This is going to be so cute. So go ahead and get that done. And we'll meet back. Okay, then when you come up around and you've made it all the way around, I like to go, if you can see this, like don't go back in where you came out of, but I like to come in and out and come through so that it meets back to where we started. And then just pull that nice and tight. Obviously don't rake the yarn, but pull it as tight as you can. And try to close that up nice. And then we're gonna go in one side. Try not to go too low. And then come out the other side. And see, I missed it. You want to get in one side here and come out the other. There we go. And pull that tight. And then we're gonna do opposite from where we just went. So keep that nice and tight, and then come across the opposite way. Pull that nice and tight while I'm stuck around the hat. Pull that nice and tight, and then we're going to go across one more time just to make sure that we are nice and secure. And then I like to not pull it all the way through yet, and I come through this loop. I leave myself a loop and I come through with the needle and then pull that down. And then you'll sew in this end. Now you can either do it now or you can do it later, and I'm going to do mine later so we can move forward. And I'm also going to cut this a little shorter so that I can sew that in easier. So that'll be cinched up, and you can turn that right side out. And now it looks kind of funny right now, but we're going to add a brim to it. So whatever you decide, if you want to use the same color, use the same color you're using. If you want to use a different color, grab a different color. This matches in here, so I just thought that would be really pretty. And you also want to go down a hook size for the brim, just to keep the brim nice and cozy and tight. So, well, that was yarn barf, if I've ever seen it. Let me find the end here. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. You're going to go down a hook size. We're going to put a slip knot on our hook. And to start out with, we're just going to do one row of single crochet around this edge to begin with. I always like to start where I ended. So where that seam is, I mean, this works nice where you don't see it too much, but, and I'm just going to insert my hook like right next to where we seamed it. So that first row right there. And we're going to do a little slip stitch to attach this. And then we're going to chain one. and we're going to go right back into that same row there, and we're going to do a single crochet. And then we're going to find every row and put a single crochet into it. Sometimes it's kind of hard to see where they're at, but you should be able to tell with this one. It's just the gaps between each. So you've got one here, you've got this bigger one here, and then you've got one here. So just follow it around. It doesn't have to be perfect for this because we're just adding a brim. So the stitch count doesn't matter as much. Just try to keep track as you're going along so you know what you've got, what you're working with. And just go ahead and put that one single crochet in every row until you come back around where you started. All right, so go ahead and do that, and then we'll meet back and I'll show you the next step. Okay, when you come back around, you're going to slip stitch in your first single crochet. Now, I had to cut off and do a little maintenance because I actually messed up, because we're all human, we mess up. But this is what we're going to do. We're going to chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm doing 7. Now you can measure it out and see where it's going to put your hat at, because this is going to be your brim. So from the top of your hat to the bottom of where that chain is, I'll be at 8 inches with the brim, which is perfect for me. But if you're using a different yarn or whatnot, then you might want to do less or more chains. You just have to use a little bit of, you know power on where you'd like it to be. So then what we're going to do is we're going to skip this first chain, and we're going to single crochet our way down this chain. Just one single in each chain. And my yarn is all frazzled now because I had to try and pull it out. And don't forget this last chain down here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go in here and where we're coming out of, and the next stitch, and bring that together. Now we're not going to chain 1, we're going to turn. Now if you look at this, this is like an extra stitch really. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those are what you want to work into. Not this one we just created. That's like our turning chain, okay? So what we want to do is work in the 6 or how many ever you created. So whatever you chained minus 1, because we skipped the first chain, is how many stitches you should have. So don't worry about this. This is your turning chain. And we're going to work in the back loops back here. So when you're looking at the top of a stitch, there's 2 loops. There's this loop and there's this loop. We're going to work in that back loop. All the way down till we get to our last stitch down here, which is we're going to do both loops on the very last one down here. Just down here when you're coming up this way. Just do it down here. Now down here we're gonna chain 1, and we're gonna turn. And we're gonna start again. We're gonna do back loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and here's our last one. Don't forget about that down there, and 6. And then we're going to go back in where we're coming out of, pull up a loop, go into the next one, pull up a loop, and pull through all 3. Now remember, that becomes your turning chain. So we're not going to chain 1. That's your turning chain. And then we're going to go in that back loop of that first stitch. That's 1. And just, if you need to, count every single time you're going up and back to make sure you've got the right amount of stitches. And that's where I messed up, and I had to re-record this part because I wasn't counting stitches and I ended up adding stitches, and it was looking real funny. And then, so don't forget to go through both loops down here when you come to the end at just on this side. And then chain 1 and turn. And then we're going to work our way, and it's going to look real funny as you're going around until we connect it, but it turns out real cute. So then just work in the back loop all the way down. So when you're going towards the hat, you don't have to worry about doing both loops at all. You're just going to do your stitches in the back loop all the way down. And then you're going to do your 2 together when you get down here. So you're going to go into the one you're coming out of and into the next and bring those together, and that turns into your turning chain. So then you just work into the stitches that you've been working into in the back loops only though, remember. And then when you're coming up this way, when you're coming out away from the hat, your last stitch should go through both loops. And my focus keeps going in and out today. Oh, it's terrible today. I'm sorry, you guys. But yeah, so that's what you're going to repeat now, all the way around. And once you come back around here, then I'll show you how we're going to attach it. So go ahead and work that up all the way around. And we'll meet up when you get back around this. Okay, once you come back around, and you do this last 2 together, I want you to go up one more time so that you land up here. And then we're going to chain 1 still. And we're going to join this together now. Now, I designed this to have a little bit of a floppy brim. So I don't know if you've noticed as you're going along, if my camera would focus. So it's a little bit of a poofier brim. Now, if you get through with this hat, because we're about done now, and you feel like I want to do it a little different, you could always make a different brim. Like you could start with a brim, or you really, because it's a sheet hat, so you could always, if you know how to add a brim, you can do it differently if you'd like to. But I designed this one to flare out a little bit. Another way you can do this to add it this way is instead of starting, you know, like when we do the 2 together, instead of starting in the one that we're coming out of, you just put 2 together next to it. So you start in the one next to it, and the one after that, you put those 2 together, and then it'll bring it in a little bit more. But I like the flop. I like doing things a little different. So I wanted a little bit of a floppy brim to go with this one because the colors just called for it. So anyways, you're going to do that chain 1, and then we are going to put these 2 edges together. It's just like when we put the whole hat together. So you're going to go in the one stitch, and you're going to find the other stitch on the other side, and you're going to slip stitch these together. Now, actually, let's do it from the inside out so that that's on the inside. So let's see how I want to do this. So that, oh, we're going to do it this way. So take that chain 1 out, and we're going to start from this side. We're going to go in this stitch, and we're going to grab that loop, our working loop, and we're going to pull it through, and we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to go back. I want to get this situated, I'm sorry. Then we're going to go back in this stitch and then go across that way so that we're working on the inside, because you don't want that seam on the outside. My mouth was going faster than my mind. So we will slip stitch this all the way down here. I'm having a hard time seeing tonight. You just want to make sure you match it up nicely. and get across there and go all the way down to the bottom. It's a little hard to see these stitches from here, but, and I keep blocking my own light with my hand. So you're going to come all the way down to this last stitch here. And bring that all together. So now that's all together. And then I just like, so that it doesn't leave this hole, I'm going to swoop down here and kind of get in to one stitch on each side. And do a slip stitch there too, just so that it doesn't leave a big gap. And then you can do however you like to cut off. I'm going to do 2 chains and then pull that down. So then, see, it pulls it together nicely there instead of having a hole in there. And then you just have to go around and sew in all your ends. And you got a nice little floppy brim to go with your cute hat. And look at this top. Like, I love this yarn. Like, look at how pretty that makes the top. I was thinking about coming up with a hat that is like this, but it's poofier at the top. And so that it lays like this and you can see that more. Because I really like that. But there's your floppy brimmed hat. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you were able to follow along, even though my camera never wants to focus. I don't know what that's about. Hopefully someday I will have a normal camera and I won't have to use my phone. So there's that. But don't forget to join us on Facebook at Curiosity Crochet, because I'd love to see your projects. I'd like you to share anything you've made along with me. I mean, you can share other stuff you've made too. I don't restrict the content other than like memes and stuff like that. But anything that you're making, working on, whatever, I'd love to see it. And don't forget to subscribe. It's right down underneath my video on the right. Sorry, I got cut off by a phone call yet again. Every time. But anyways, it's right below on the right, and you do have to be signed into YouTube, which is usually through your Google account. And if you liked this hat, give it a thumbs up. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for coming. Bye-bye.